Do you have a question about Bitcoin? Coincompass.com/ask to record your question and we'll answer it on an upcoming episode. So whether your question is technical, non-technical, economic, political, fundamental, it doesn't matter. There is no question too basic or too complicated for the Bitcoin Basics podcast. Coincompass.com/ask.
Welcome to the Bitcoin Basics podcast with your hosts, Faris and Gordon from CoinCompass.com, enabling you to safely buy and securely store your Bitcoins. All resources are in the show notes and description, including our disclaimer. Visit BitcoinBasicsPodcast.com to subscribe and discover other free content.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bitcoin Basics Podcast. Today, we are just doing Bitcoin markets. It's just myself here, Faris, with you today. Bitcoin hit a all-time high this last weekend. So proof of recording, today is the 15th of March, 2021. The price of Bitcoin currently is 60,160, and our block height is 674,628.
For anyone listening, this episode is visually intensive, so visit our YouTube channel, coincompass.com/YouTube, to follow along. We use TradingView for all our charts, and you can sign up for a free account at coincompass.com/tradingview.
So I want to go back and revisit the 2017-2018 bull market. Those of you who were not in Bitcoin at the time, you would have heard about it. Bitcoin was making serious headlines as it had a 2,500% appreciation from below $800 to just shy of $20,000 in the course of 18 months. So that was very memorable. Now, what we are seeing something similar today. So we are seeing Bitcoin came from a low of 3,400 and now we're above 60,000. So we're seeing another run happen today. But what I want to remind people of is that in these bull runs, you need pullbacks along the way. You need to let some steam out, and I'll explain that analogy a bit more later. So this is the weekly chart that we're looking at of the 2017 to 2018 bull run. So we can just see, it's really just started to absolutely take off, and we hit that blow off top just under 20 grand. So big picture, that looks pretty simple. Just buy anywhere around this flat line in here and just hold. Trading is not always that simple, which is why 95% of people end up losing their money as day traders. So what happened in that bull run? Let's look a bit under the hood. We had several 25% plus corrections in this. So we just saw that nice big line where it looks steady. So I'll show you again. Doesn't that look easy? Just buy and hold, buy and hold. All right. That is a daily chart zoomed out over a 2-year period. If, however, we zoom in. So this was early 2017. Yes, it started 2016, but we actually kicked off in 2017 with a 26% correction. And then we reclaimed all that, went up even more. I actually remember this day. If you were long or if you were short, you were taken out. Both longs and shorts were taken out, and that was in 24 hours, but you can narrow it down to a smaller time frame, and those swings were within a couple of hours. So that was almost a 28% correction in just a few hours. We then went lower, recovered, and we went all the way up to 2,800. I remember people at the time thinking, oh my gosh, we're getting to 3 grand. What in the world is going on? Bitcoin's hitting 3 grand. We got almost up to 3 grand, and then we had a 33% correction. We recovered, hit 3 grand, but nope, another almost 30% correction. So that is taking us halfway through 2017. The second half of 2017, same thing again. So we got to 3 grand, then we had another correction, 34%. Finally broke through 3 grand, went all the way up to 5,000. Once we hit 5,000, we had a 40% correction. Anyone in a stock or a commodity or a currency where the position goes against you 40%, you wouldn't do that. Most people don't like 10%. As a trader, you seldom will let it go 1 or 2% against you. So even long-term investors will not hold something that's corrected 40%. So hit 5,000, people go, it's the end of Bitcoin. 5,000 was the high. We'll never see that again. However, the very following month, we broke through 5,000. So after 40% correction, a month later, we regained all that. We went from 5,000 even higher to close to 6,000. So that was the 40% correction there. And then we went all the way up to 8,000, had another 29% correction. So back down to below 6,000. From there, we just shot all the way up to 16,000. And I remember that one thing, remembering that it went through 10 grand so quickly. I thought it was going to pause and pull back significantly at 10,000, but it didn't. And Tone Vays at the time was doing a podcast where he actually predicted this. From memory, I think he said it's going to go through like butter. And he was right. And from 10 grand, we just went up to 16 without even slowing down. And then we got to just shy of 17,000. We had another 23.7% correction. And then we went to all-time highs just below 20 grand up here. And that was the top of that bull run. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 corrections of 25% or more. 8 corrections of 25% or more in what was this run here. Big scale, it looks simple. 2.5% appreciation. Buy here, sell there. That's how they sell it to you in all these seminars. Just buy low, sell high. You cannot pick the lows, you cannot pick the high. How did you know that was not the high, or that, or that, or that? You do not know in real time when the high is or when the low is. You're not a market maker, right? You're a market taker.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, like, and share so we can find others like yourself.
So, where are we today? Now, how can you tell? So, when Bitcoin is hitting all-time highs, there's no resistance or support. So, had we hit $60,000 previously, we'd go, okay, if we hit there again, you're going to get some resistance. But we're at all-time highs, so what do you do? The only way I can gauge it is I like to look at sentiment. So down here, this is the only time I'll use an RSI, is when we are reaching all-time highs or all-time lows, and there's no further price to tell you here's where we're heading. Because former price is actually a barometer that you can aim for. It's a target. So if we're 50,000 once before, if we get to it again, markets have memory. You have guys that may have bought at 50,000, got burnt and get out. So the RSI tells you how heavy are we getting. So think of a runner. If you were to sprint for a kilometer, just sprint, you get to the end and you're knocked out. You need to take a break. If you want to go 10Ks, you're not going to sprint. You're going to slow down, take your pace. So it's the same thing with markets. Markets need to slow down and catch their breath. If they don't, then they will just crash when they get to a finish line. And that's what happened in 2018. We just sprinted all the way up from 6,000 to 20,000. All right, we had one correction, but it was not long enough. It was very, very quick. It was not a long enough break. And then we went from 20,000 back down to 3,500. So what we need is we need to let some steam out. You need the market to catch its breath. And the RSI, that we're looking at a weekly chart. So when the RSI gets above 90 on a weekly chart, that's when I start to say, okay, what's going on here? So there the RSI got to 94, right around here. That was a weekly chart. So that was the week of January 4th. So if we go down to a daily, and let's go to January 4th. So I had the RSI on the weekly really high, and that's what I want to pay attention to. On the daily, it was up here as well. So it's still pretty high, but we even went higher past the 4th. So that was a weekly chart, sorry. So we could see, yep, it's getting up there. It's getting pretty toppy. So 90 on a daily. So you had 94 on a weekly and then 90 on a daily. Anything above 80 is exuberant. So you go, okay, we're due to let some steam out. So we had this correction, still looking at a daily chart, and it started to come down here. So we started picking up 31st of January. So for about 3 weeks, we just had this consolidation. Now, if we go back to the weekly, so we started picking up on the weekly on the 25th of Jan. Go to the daily, 26th of Jan. We see the pickup here. Same thing on the daily. We started to pick up, and we started to get new green candles in a row. So we really started to pick up then, and then we broke above convincingly this level here of 42,000. So that was an all-time high there. We broke through it. And that all-time high then became support. So if I put this, if I put a line in here, you'll see what I mean by support. In a healthy bull market, you want this all-time high to be retested. You want the price to come back there. And people that bought there, sold there, saw it break through, go, oh crap, I should have held on because I would have seen all this profit. So if it comes back to there, I'm buying. So what was resistance becomes support. So let's see, did we come back and test that yellow line? Yes, we did. All right, see that? We bought, people would have sold at 42,100, missed out, and they got back in around here. All right, so it could have been new buyers, but basically that is really, really healthy. We saw a peak, an all-time high. We went beyond the all-time high. We came back, and we had another round of buyers come in at just above 42,000. So this is what you want to see. You want to see these corrections. You want to see it come back and test. Now, the problem is right now, where's our next level of support? And it would be, I would say right here, 46,000. So what I would like to see now is we can see here, this is the RSI on the daily. Okay, it's starting to come down. How's it looking on the weekly this week? Okay, on the weekly, it's still going up. So we were really high. So on the weekly, yes, we can go higher. We've had 2 really strong weeks after that pullback 2 weeks ago. What I would like to see from here is a 50% pullback. So people that bought here at 43 made it all the way up to all-time highs at 61. We would like to see a pullback, so about halfway. So you just want to have some profit taking. So I would like, ideally, Bitcoin to come down to 53,400, somewhere in there, bounce off from there. If it doesn't, that's okay. We've got very good support at 46.4 and then at 42. This I expect to hold, 42 definitely. And if we are in a healthy bull run, I expect this to hold again. I would look at buying dips in here at around 53,000, just above 53,000, and also above 46,000. Those are healthy buying opportunities for me now. So how do you look at when are things getting too exuberant? The law of round numbers. I think our next round number, I do believe we're in a very, very healthy bull market. I would look at 75,000. I just like round numbers, guys, because they are just psychologically built into us. You know, even if you're at the gym, you're aiming to do 10 reps, 12 reps, 15. You're not going for 11 and 3. So right here, this one, I think that's 75,000. Don't ask me why. I just think that is, well, I do know why. It is just a nice big round number. So I see 75K, as we should be having a decent pullback from 75K, probably all the way back down to 58. So that would be my next target for Bitcoin, and that is a short-term target, is 75K. In the meantime, I'd like to see it bounce back down to mid 50, so 53 and potentially 48. Those would be good buying opportunities in there. But yeah, our next level to me is a round number, 75. If we curl up, then we'd be hitting 75 at the same time the weekly RSI and the daily should go back above 90. So weekly is moving up. So we may hit 75 or even potentially higher, could go all the way to 100. But when we're hitting all-time highs, this is the indicator I want to pay attention to, the RSI. I do not have this on unless there is no further price points for me. As a swing trader, I just look at previous prices. But when there's no previous prices, so at all-time highs, where do you gauge? It's sentiment. So I'd be looking at the RSI on the weekly and then narrow it down to the daily. And for Bitcoin, the 12-hour chart actually works as well. And this is where I want to give a shout out to Tone Vays and his indicator. So I went to his workshop, and this is his own indicator that he's put together. He calls it the sequential. And we've hit what's called an 8 turning point. So this basically is saying that as soon we have runs of up to 9 on charts. So when you get to 9 up candles in a row where they're higher than the ones four previous, then you're getting to an exhaustion point. And now that's where we are. So we can see we're at an 8 and due for a pullback, and that's lining up. So on the weekly, we've still got 3 more weeks ahead of us before we get a weekly 9. And you can see here the weekly 9 was a good top there, and it was a good top back here and here. So we get to these weekly 9s. You says, okay, we're kind of a bit tired. Let's take a breather. So technically, we've got 3 more weeks until a weekly 9. But on the daily, it's looking a bit toppy. So this week, we might start off with a bit of a correction. We've got a daily 9. We've got a 12-hour 8. And the 4-hour already topped at the 9 right there. So what happens when you hit these 9s is you'll enter a period of a pullback of 4 candles, a consolidation, or I can ignore it and go on. But we're pulling back a little bit here. Ideally, I would like us to continue to pull back just a little bit more, just to get this daily RSI just down a little bit more. That would be great if that happened. But long-term target for me is the 75,000 to 100,000 for Bitcoin. And just remember, we have these 25 to 40% corrections in a healthy bull market, and you need them. So thank you for watching, guys. If you have any questions, please hit us up in our comment section. And just remember, the easiest way to trade Bitcoin is to not trade Bitcoin, just dollar cost average, buy and hold for the long term.
Thanks for watching or listening. Please visit coincompass.com/free to register to our socials and discover other free content. Subscribing, liking, and following helps this content remain ad-free. Until next time.